So for my art song project, I am doing Sebben Crudele by Antonio Caldara. Just for some historical background, Antonio Caldara was born in 1670 and died on December the 28th, 1736. He was an Italian Baroque composer and composed over 3,500 works. A lot of these works were lost just due to the circumstances of the time. Among these works, he had over 90 operas, numerous oratorios, liturgical works, cantatas, madrigals, and many instrumental works. He was appointed Maestro di Cappella to the Duke of Mantua in 1699, which Maestro di Cappella translates to choirmaster in English, and that was in Venice, Italy. After that, he moved to Rome and did some work there, which was mainly sacred works for a cardinal. And then, towards the latter half of his life, he was employed in Vienna as a choirmaster under King Charles VI. He died in Vienna partly due to exhaustion, just under the huge workload that he had under the king at the time. Sebben Crudele translates to "They're Not Deserving," and this song is an aria from the 1710 opera La Costanza in Amor Vinciliquano. Don't quote me on the Italian pronunciation. This translates in English as "Faithfulness in love conquers treachery." The song is basically about a shepherd who is puzzled by the unresponsive behavior of a woman who used to love him, and you'll see that in the text in the next slide. It remains a popular concert aria, in part due to its simple text and format, which it has ternary format: A prime, B, A prime. So the text translates in English as, "Although not deserving, you make me languish, I will always love you true. With the patience of my serving, I will be able to tire out your pride." Basically, the shepherd is talking about how he doesn't deserve the pain that he's experiencing due to this unrequited love, but with the patience that he has in his love for the woman, he hopes to tire out her pride and gain her love in return. So a few examples of text painting are found in this song. The first one I have here takes place on the Italian word languire, which is English for languish. It's on a 4/3 suspension, and the rhythm is augmented, which just marks the importance of this word and the languish that the shepherd is feeling due to the unrequited love. I have another example there on the bottom. In this example, the melody peaks on the word "the" and ends on an imperfect authentic cadence on the word "love," which highlights the strain on the unrequited love that the shepherd is feeling again. So on this slide, I have a few additional text painting examples. The first one is in the B section of the aria, and the words are, "Thy pride unfeeling, I then shall move." This just refers to the shepherd waiting out the pride of his love, hoping that he'll gain that love back. And during this section of the piece, it switches to the relative minor, and this phrase is repeated twice, which just strengthens the feelings of pain the shepherd feels in waiting for the woman's feelings to change towards him. And then I have a final example there on the bottom. This happens in the A prime section, where it modulates to the relative minor, and the final words of this section are, "Thee only I love," which ends on a perfect authentic cadence. This is expressing the sorrow the shepherd has for not being loved in return by the transition to the relative minor, and the ending on the perfect authentic cadence just expresses how he accepts that this woman is the only person that he'll ever love. Finally, I have a diagram of the whole piece. The A section starts out with a 4-measure piano prelude that ends on an imperfect authentic cadence, and then an 8-bar period that has a 2-bar tail at the end, which ends on a perfect authentic cadence before transitioning into the A prime section with a 4-measure piano prelude again. And then the difference in A and A prime is this section has an additional 8-bar period tacked onto the end, which also ends in a perfect authentic cadence. The B section has this 10-bar period type phrase structure thing. It has a 4-bar introduction with a 2-bar lead into the next 4-bar section, which ends on an imperfect authentic cadence before another 4 bars ending on a half cadence before its transition into A and A prime, which basically to repeat as they did in the beginning of the piece.